Hello friends, I am live. I am live indeed. I am live out in reality in a Tokyo that is currently officially under a state of emergency. I'm just here in my local neighborhood. And I think in terms of a walk, this video won't be very interesting. Instead, I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about what's going on in Tokyo right now, because obviously it's kind of making news headlines all over the world, even though there's like way crazier things going on in other parts of the world. But yeah, let's focus on what's happening here in Tokyo for now. So yesterday, Tokyo was declared to be under a state of emergency. It's the second time it happens. First time was, I think, back in April last year. What that essentially means is very, very vague and very, very weak compared to what's happening in many other countries when they're doing this whole lockdown thing. Here in Japan, basically the only thing that has changed is that we are now requested to not go outside after 8 o'clock, and that people are requested to work from home if possible. They have this goal of 70% of the population should work from home, but there's no plan or strategy or incentives or anything for companies to make any change other than this request. And also restaurants and bars are requested to close at 8 o'clock. So as I think you can hear on my voice and how I'm explaining about this, I think this is kind of ridiculous, and it feels like they really don't care. Like, even though the number of corona cases has really exploded here in Tokyo, it's like yesterday we had like 3 times as many cases as we did like a month ago, and it's been a pretty steady increase. So but you know, it feels to me and to a lot of others like as if the government they want to show that they're doing something, but in reality they don't want to do anything. I am very skeptical about if this will be enough to actually make any meaningful difference in terms of cases. And as always, there's also the problem with the fact that a very, very little testing is done here in Japan, compared to most other countries. You know, the number of tests conducted is extremely low here in Japan. But the number that's kind of concerning to me is that the percentage of the tests conducted that is turning out to be positive has increased by quite a lot. And I think right now it's something like 13 to 15% of all tests that they're doing that actually turn out positive. And that's a pretty high percentage. So what it probably means is that there's way more people carrying this virus than what the official statistics are showing, and that's a bit concerning. But yeah, so what this means for my channel, I'm not really sure, to be honest, right now how I will react to this. like my instinct is to just, you know, take it easy for a while and don't travel, only shoot walks in my local neighborhood, even though there's no clear, you know, there's actually nothing that stops me from going to other parts of Tokyo in the daytime other than my own will. But it's not even, you know, they don't even mention the public transportation system in this whole emergency declaration speech. It's only about, basically they're putting all the blame on the restaurant industry, which I think is quite unfair, and I feel really sorry for those people who are working in that industry, because yeah, there's just not that much data, and there's just not, you know, not enough evidence to show that that's where the main problem actually lies. Yeah, that's where the government decided that they want to focus their efforts right now. We'll see how that turns out, but I'm very worried that the number of cases will keep on increasing. And the worrying thing about that is that there's already plenty of reports about how the hospitals, especially here in the Tokyo region, are already at their limit, and that there's been plenty of cases where people actually has died just waiting to get a place at a hospital. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the severity of this crisis increase significantly here in Japan. And thank you, Huggy Bear, for the super chat. Sorry, I'm a little bit agitated right now, so I'm not so focused on the chat, but thank you so much. And let's see. So yeah, this whole situation is pretty concerning. And someone asked about my personal work trips, and the upcoming one that I was supposed to do later in January has been postponed for now. So the goal is to, you know, make me do that a bit later instead. Hopefully that will be possible, but with these lame countermeasures, I doubt that things will be better. So for now, this whole emergency declaration is going to last for a month, so it will be lifted in the beginning of February. That's the plan. But I'm very, very skeptical that will be possible. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of my work trips end up being cancelled altogether, which would be a significant financial blow to me personally. So that would be a shame, but of course, you know, if this pandemic is going to stay out of control, obviously that's the right thing to do, because I don't think anyone really should be, you know, traveling when we have a situation like this. Oh, thank you very much, Jenny. Thank you so much. Highly appreciate that. Let me take a look at the chat and respond to some of your questions. Obviously, the safety of me and my family is my top priority. Especially, haven't mentioned that, but I'm currently having this little girl with me here. She's currently asleep, so that's why I decided to do this stream. When she fell asleep, I announced it, so very short notice. But I think she will be asleep for another half an hour or so. So I have a little bit of more time to talk to you. So let's see. Out of curiosity, what kind of tests are currently used in Japan? Rapid or swab tests? So I'm not sure what you mean with rapid tests, but basically the tests conducted here are PCR tests, either through the swab, the nose thing, or through saliva. So there's been lots of clinics popping up recently that offer these saliva tests for a pretty reasonable price, and they seem to be increasingly popular, especially among business travelers who need a quick, test that they can, show their whoever that they are tested negative. Yeah. But I think the nose swab is still like the one that's used by the official health authorities here. Vaccine status in Japan, so no vaccinations has started here yet. So Japan is very picky when it comes to medicine and vaccines. So even though these vaccines has been tested and passed most of the tests abroad and are deemed safe and secure, that does not mean much for Japan. So they're currently conducting their own trial of at least one of the vaccines. I think it's the Pfizer vaccine that they're currently testing out here in Japan, but don't take my word for it. You should check it out, research that for yourself. But basically, yeah, they don't really believe when it comes to medicine. Japan always need to conduct their own trials, and as far as I understand, they're just doing it all, the regular procedures by the book. So there's no real efforts being made to speed up this whole process. So it's going to take at least a few more months until vaccines are starting here in Japan, which is a bit I'm not sure what I think about that. There's many aspects of it, but Japan has a very like the mind that they need to check everything their way. They don't trust it if it has been tested abroad, which I think is a little bit ridiculous, but yeah. What other questions do we have here? Some swabs take 2 days for the results. Yeah, here in Japan there's many places where you can get the result the same day, actually. And then of course we have this, so there's been 2 major government-sponsored campaigns going on here in Japan in the last couple of months. The Go To Travel campaign and the Go To Eat campaign. So the Go To Travel campaign was essentially the government paying 50% of people's domestic travel costs, and the Go To Eat campaign was I don't know the details about that one, but basically government paid people to go out, or they paid a bit of people's restaurant bills. So concerning how the rest of the world has dealt with this crisis, and that the message is over and over again to avoid travel, avoid meeting other people, reduce going out and eat. The fact that all these things has been sanctioned by the Japanese government, well, I don't think that was a great idea, and I think they're paying the price for that right now. Obviously, I mean, of course it is a very difficult balancing act this whole situation, and you have to weigh the economy and people's livelihoods versus keeping the number of new infections as low as possible. Of course, I understand that, and I understand that it's a very, very difficult balancing act. But still, like, the way they did here felt extremely naive to me. So very sad. What do you think they could have done instead? I think it would have made way more sense to, instead of spending all that tax money now on people's, domestic travels and going out to eat, I think it would have made way more sense to save that money and tell people that once this pandemic is over, we will, do what we can to stimulate the local economy, stimulate domestic tourism, to stimulate and help the restaurant business. And then in the meantime, something that just helped all the affected parties to stay afloat, to not go bankrupt. For example, support money that made it possible for restaurants to pay their rent, or things like that. But things that helped businesses survive, but without increasing the infection risk. But I mean, I'm not an economist. I don't know all the factors that goes into these kind of decisions. But considering that this approach that was taken here in Japan seems pretty unique for Japan, it feels like, the rest of the world realized that promoting tourism while there's a pandemic going on, no matter if it's domestic or international, is not a good idea. But it's very complicated. And of course, the government can't save all the businesses, of course, and in a way, there's also, I don't know, maybe not all businesses deserve to be rescued in a situation like this, but there should be some sort of evaluation and some sort of smarter way to spend all this money than just throwing it all out now and end up with, a massive hole in the budget already, and at the same time a big increase in cases. That's like the worst possible scenario, and that's basically where we have the situation in Japan right now. Have any new variants of the virus arrived in Japan? Yes, there's been a few reports about how some tourists or some people returning to Japan has been found infected with these new strains, these mutated strains, but it's been surprisingly quiet about it. I haven't really, they don't really talk that much about it on the news, to be honest, and I think that's a bit weird. So my little girl woke up now. She's looking curious, looking at me. Dad, why are you walking back and forth along the river? So I will probably wrap up this stream quite soon. So I'm sorry if it was very not maybe the most helpful, but I just wanted to share a little bit of my impressions and a little bit of what's currently happening in Japan. And for the time being, the future, like the coming month, I'm a little bit unsure about the future for my channel in the short term, but obviously as soon as possible I will keep going on the long walks along the train lines of Tokyo again, But in the meantime, you will probably have to do with videos from that I can shoot without having to take the train to go somewhere. So more of my local neighborhood walks. So hope that's that will be okay with you, and thank you so much, Jennifer, for the super chat. Very helpful. I will try to do a couple of walks this weekend, at least. Weekends are when most of you are able to join, so I think that's where my main focus will be for now. That I'm gonna make a new version of the FAQ, which I'll tell you more about that soon. But in the meantime, if there's any questions about my channel, about living in Japan, about living in Tokyo, any questions related to things I usually talk about while I'm on my walks, if you have any questions, please write them in the comments, either to this video or to that community post, and I will try to answer all or as many of those questions as I can in a way that I hope you will all enjoy. Very vague. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this brief little walk, and me and little mini explorer here. Oh, let's see, can we get her to wave? Vill inte vinka? She doesn't really want to wave. Anyway, I'll wave. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all soon again. Thank you so much, and goodbye.